Hello everybody. In the last video we created some middleware that we can use for having authenticated routes and not authenticated routes. So in order to test that, we kind of need to have a login and some auth, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have authenticated routes, or we need to have a way to authenticate or to authenticate the user, right? So first thing we probably need to do is have like a login route. So let's go ahead and create a file for that, and let's call this package routes function. You know what, we're just going to steal the health one because it's just faster, like that. And then we'll change it to let's change this to case sensitive, and then login and login route. So in this route, let's kind of talk through what we need to do. So if someone wanted to log in, you want them to be able to post to the server, right? And they're going to need to post some authentication details, like maybe a username and a password, which is pretty typical. And a lot of websites, so you're going to use things like email and password. Email and password is very, very common. So let's go ahead and assume that that's going to be the case. So with Go, you need to tell Go to parse the form before you read the form. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to parse form, okay, and that basically allows you to grab the data off the body, out of the body. So we're going to say email, and we're going to do form value of email, and we're going to do password r.form value of password. Okay, and what we're actually going to do is we're just going to log this real quick, and I'm going to show you what that looks like when you try to actually post to the server with this data. So log.print ln password. Now we need to actually attach this route. Let's go ahead and close the other ones over here, but we'll grab our actual router here, and we'll go ahead and attach that route. I'm going to separate this out a little bit because it's hard to read with the zooming in, but I wanted to have it zoomed in so you guys can read the code. So I'm going to just pass this off here. That's going to require a comma there because of that. Let's add another route. Name, we're going to call it, guess we'll call it login. The method is actually going to be a post, not a get. It's our first post. Pattern, it's going to be, let's do auth login, and then we'll have a handler function of login. Okay. Oh, put the comma in the wrong place. There we go. So let's go ahead and run our server, like so. Oh, what did I mess up? Line 28. Oh, I should have seen the red. There we go. And then we will do, let's do curl x post. We'll do data email equals test and password equals test2 at localhost 8000. Page no auth login. There we go. And you'll see that we posted with this data set right here to the server, and it logged out that data. So we know, of course, the original post failed, but we know that this one here succeeded, and that the values we have the values. So the next thing is those values are not super useful unless you have a database of some sort, or some way to authenticate this data. So in the last video series, I went with MySQL, and I still feel like that's the best choice. And so in this video series, I'm also going to go with MySQL, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over the benefits and not benefits of using SQL or NoSQL or whatever the choice is. I think I just want to proceed forward with MySQL for this instance, but I'm going to use an ORM that allows you to pretty much use any database you want. So let's go ahead and add that. So the one we're going to be using is XORM. If you want to go look at the documentation for that, I haven't really shown you guys a whole lot of documentation on the things that we're doing because I feel like it hasn't been super relevant. But in this case, I think that XORM is complicated enough where it's pretty important, I think, to have that. So we're going to do github.com/go XORM, and then XORM. You'll see you get this page right here. And on this page, scroll down a little bit. Actually, I think it's the top. You should have a document. There it is, right there. Documentation page. And on here, you can see it supports a whole bunch of databases. So before we continue, we need to actually have a database installed. So let's go ahead and install one. Let's do MySQL Server. Use our super secret password. Go ahead to install. And while it's installing, I'm going to go ahead and go and add this to our make file. Like that. And then new password for root user. Let's just, I don't want to do anything like too crazy. Let's just do that. Okay. And then we need to include the MySQL driver right here. And we will go add that. Where's the go? There's the go get. I was looking for that. We're going to go add that here. Like so. And let's go ahead and create our database service. So we will create a new folder called db. Create a new file called db.go. And we'll call this package db. We'll function connect. And we're going to have a host string, port string. We're going to have a user string, a password string. Let's bring this down so it's easier to read. And then let's see, what else do we need here? It's going to return a pointer to XORM.engine and also potentially an error. Import. Let's see, we need to grab. There it is. That is what we need right there. This guy right here. And then we're also going to need github.com/go XORM. And then we're going to say return XORM.new engine double quotes, not single quotes, MySQL. And then we need to pass in our what's this complaint about? Did it actually? Okay, make install. Excuse me. And that should go. I should be able to save here. Let's see. Why is it freaking out? It's there. It'll work when I run. I'm not sure why it's not finding it. Okay, and then we need to do MySQL. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. So we need to go and we need to create a database. Let's go into MySQL. We just use the very basic password here. Create database, Golang, it really doesn't matter. And we're going to exit out. Now we need to go here. And what does it say the pattern is? It is, oh, I remember, I don't need to look it up. So user plus colon plus password plus at TCP host colon plus port. Then we need to do /database Did we actually? I don't know if we passed that. We didn't. We need to pass that database string, and then we also need to go over to here and add parse time equals true. So the MySQL driver, it doesn't parse time using the Go time object unless you pass this in. So you need to pass this in so you can actually use time. And that should be all we need. Then we just need to do connect to a database. Okay, and then this is going to ignore this include. The editor gets upset when you globally include something like that. It doesn't like it. Okay, so we'll go to our main file up here. Now we need to grab everything off the. You need to grab some more stuff off the environment. So let's do db host string. Var db port is also a string. Var db user is also a string. Var db password, once again a string, and the very last one db database. Database is also a string. Okay, we need to grab all of these off of the environment. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and we'll say equal to os.get env. We're going to say db underscore, and I believe, no, I did get that, okay. So this is going to be host, host, this is port, this is user, password, and database. Okay, now we need to actually connect to the database. So let's go ahead and import the database factory. db factory db, and we're going to say db error. We're going to assign that to this dot connect. We're going to pass in, it should tell us what we need here. So db host, and what's the next one it wants is db port, db user, db password, and db database. Okay, now when you say if error not equal to nil, they want to panic, because if we don't have a database, there's no reason to continue. I mean, you can't continue without a database. Let's go ahead and pass that into our new server, like so. Now the new server is going to freak out because it's saying, "Hey, I don't have that." So let's go ahead and go to our server up here, and then in our init up here, we'll say db is a pointer to XORM.engine, like so. We go back here, and there we go. So if it runs, then we know it connects. So what's going to happen is, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do this. We're gonna. I want to actually add something here, but I need to look it up because I can't quite remember. DB, you want to add, that's right. Okay. So one of the things we want to do on the database up here is we actually want to db.error assign like that. And we want to say if error is not equal to nil, return. And then we want to say db.set connection max lifetime. Okay, and then you want to say, turn db error. Actually, we can just turn nil. We don't need to even return though. And then return. You know what? We're going to do this instead. We're going to say db error like that. And then we don't have to assign. We can just return like that. That seems more clean to me. And then also there was one more mention in the DB here. You can do get meta, and I want to go ahead and do that because I think that will also guarantee that we have a connection, because it'll actually try to do a query. So let's go to create engine up here, and there is a get meta. Maybe I just missed it. It's here somewhere. Get meta data connection. It's fine. We're okay with that. Get metadata. There it is. Okay. So you want to come in here. And you want to say this. And we need to change it to DB, not engine. And it returns core table, an error. Okay, so table data error equal. We're actually going to ignore this. Then we're going to say if error. Actually, it'll just return down here. We don't need to do that. So this actually does a query on the database. So if it errors out, we'll get an error, which is good. Also, later on, if you need the definitions of all the stuff in your database, you can just get it through here. Okay, so it's going to error out because we haven't actually set those environmental variables. But up here, we set this stuff. It's not going to be able to connect. But we'll just run it real quick to show. So go run main, and connection refused. You'll see because you can't connect. So let's go ahead and add those environmental variables. So ZSHRC. We'll go ahead and go up here and we'll say local database. We'll say export db host is equal to local host export db database is going to be, what do we call it, Golang, I think. Export db user, we should call it root. Export db password, we just use the super secure password of password. It was the last one. So host user port. Export db port equals 3306. That's my SQL port. So we'll save. We'll close out. We'll source that file. We'll make sure that it's actually working. db host. There we go. We'll do go run main, and it started. No errors. That's good. So that means our database is connected. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop the video at this point, and I'll continue later on. I'll come in the next video, actually hooking up authentication. But this is the first step, having a database, a state we can store between containers and servers. So I'll see you guys in the next video.